Welcome back folks, Parole Abyss has released new patch for Crimson Desert. It has been 5 days since the previous patch and honestly they have been working really hard to fix some of the things that people were requesting and also to bring new quality of life changes and features that were, kinda talked about in the community. There is a lot to go through here, and also do keep in mind that for me on Steam the update was 1.9 GB, so a bit bigger than the previous one. And when it comes to consoles, by the time you're watching this video, the patch should be available, because on consoles, the update itself has to go through the certification process, which does not happen on Steam, for example. Now, without further wasting your time, let's go through all of these changes, because, well, there is some amazing ones that I have been testing since the entire morning, because for me, at least where I live, this update arrives very early in the morning. So first things first, when it comes to content, they have added 5 new mounts that can be obtained and summoned after completing certain conditions. Now of course I won't be mentioning which those mounts are to prevent spoilers, but you do have a link down below to the full patch notes where you can read it. Now also do keep in mind, because of these mounts, they kinda look like, insane, the people of Pywell are not going to be afraid of those tamed animals. So feel free to travel to towns with these mounts. And also, if you already caught any of these legendary animals before this patch, you will retroactively receive the corresponding reward in the extra rewards list when you get into the game, so make sure to check it. They have also added chests containing various materials through Pywell. This is incredibly important because, well, at the start of the game, if maybe you're lacking in some materials by exploring throughout the map, always make sure to check these chests. They have also added the refinement token item. Now with this item, equipment can be tempered up to stage 4 without consuming any additional materials, and refinement tokens can be obtained from certain main and faction quests. They have also added Make Now function, which allows food and items to be cooked and crafted immediately in the cooking crafting menu once a recipe is selected, without having to separately select ingredients. This is a fantastic quality of life change. They have also added a store all select items function to move all of the items from inventory to your private storage. On keyboard, that's going to be shift right mouse button, on PlayStation 5 it's going to be square, and on Xbox it's going to be X. Also keep in mind that they moved the private storage chest in the Howling Hill camp previously, which was located behind Carl, to inside Cliff's tent. I actually don't know why it was behind Carl in the first place, but actually having it now in the tent properly is really nice. They have also added the wholesale grocer shop NPCs to regional farms in Pywell and accordingly adjusted the quantity of certain knowledge entries. This is really nice. They have also improved the shop item knowledge acquisition so that the knowledge for all items sold in shops can now be learned at once, with the learning time set to 3 seconds. Before, you actually had to separately go through them and it would learn all of those things, which honestly did not make sense, and from the gameplay perspective, just the quality of life, it makes sense. Also, finally, they have improved lock doors so that an interaction button is displayed, allowing players to choose whether to use the key to open the door. Before, if you have any keys and you go through the locked doors, it would automatically use the keys, so you were kind of burning through those keys really fast, and honestly this makes a lot more sense. They've also improved pets so that they don't stray excessively far away during combat, because this was causing issues, specifically because they fixed an issue where pets in certain situations were unable to loot during combat itself. So one of the things which happens now after you're done with fight, your pet is not going to be far away and you don't actually have to double check if the items are going to be looted or not. This is going to work now a lot better. They have also improved wells so that 5 units of water can be obtained at a time. Fantastic, especially for cooking, because, well, most recipes in this game require water and this was sort of draining to do, so actually having this now, is good. They've also improved the mining knuckle drill so that items obtained from drilling can be collected immediately. This is fantastic, because for me at least, having the knuckle drill as an upgrade from like the usual pickaxe made more sense, and just to have this now properly is great. And also with it, they've improved the Manessian chainsaw item so that the lumber felled from trees can be collected immediately. really good. They've also changed the crafting materials for the Cuckoo Watcher pack, so watch out, and they've improved the abyss cells dropped from destroying disappearing rocks so they can be placed in the Cuckoo pot. They've improved the knowledge helm so that all obtainable knowledge visible on the screen can be acquired at once, and they also slightly increased the treasure detection range of the Pirate King hat, so if you do have it, it makes more sense. Now when it comes to inventory, so additional inventory expansion items obtained after reaching the maximum inventory expansion limit, which is 240 slots, will be now granted as boxes containing crafting materials and other items. This is good because, well, first of all, it reduces weight for everyone who has reached the max limit, and at the same time, once you finish it, it makes more sense for a reward because, well, you're going to actually get some items now. They've also made Abyss more convenient to play, and they reduce the chance of pickpockets running into houses while fleeing. Now for all of you photo mode enthusiasts, they have increased the maximum camera distance in photo mode. They have added a field of view adjustment feature, really good, and a camera shutter sound effect. Because keep in mind, photo mode is still in sort of the beta stage, so over the next couple of updates they are going to be improving and adding more things to it because, well, let's face it, a lot of people like taking images in this game because, well, when you reach a certain place and you see something beautiful, you want the best options to capture that shot. Also, as a part of ongoing visual improvements, they replaced select 2D visual assets to better align with the game's art direction. This is primarily going for that AI art pieces which were found by the community, so those things are slowly being replaced and honestly a lot faster than I imagined they would do it. They also fixed an issue where resting or waiting at beds, campfires and similar objects were unavailable. They also fixed an issue where Damien and Unka would become invisible under certain circumstances. Also, honestly, one of the things which I do want to see them improve in future updates, and this is something I haven't noticed in this update, or at least it wasn't, available for me, is that once you summon a companion, I hope that the AI of that companion is sort of better because sometimes during combat I noticed that they just stand in one place and nothing is really happening, or they're very slow to react to certain things, so maybe those things should be improved in the future. They've also fixed an issue where money deposited in the bank could disappear when interest was refreshed under certain circumstances. This is good because, well, if you're going to be depositing a lot of money into a bank and it disappears, that's going to be a major problem for the progression, or, well, all of the hard-earned silver and gold which you have actually made. They also changed the sealable items so that when they become lost, sealable items will become sealed, and items that cannot be sealed are registered as lost items. They've also improved the system so that leaving out sealable item and then saving and reloading the game triggers either a sealed or lost item notification. Now this next change has been heavily requested and it's finally happening. So they changed the criminal acts to not decrease contribution before an NPC witnesses the act. This makes sense because before, whatever you rob, doesn't matter if you're alone in the forest and no one is around you, well, your contribution does go down. And this does not make sense because after you liberate a certain area and maybe you want to treat yourself with some items, some, people wouldn't do it because it would just lower that contribution, but now put on that mask and rob away. They have also changed the functionality of the Master Do Circlet item, so once equipped, pressing the item use prompt keys will immediately fire projectiles. Speaking of controls and combat, they have been doing some quality of life changes here. So they improved the movement controls for both the player character and horse. So the movement speed increases by holding down the running key. The movement speed increases by tapping the running key once, so you don't have to spam it anymore. Also, the movement speed for the player character and horse will no longer decrease even if the running key is not held continuously. And they've also said here that please note that maintaining the full sprint state still requires periodic input of the sprint button, but it's no longer going to be just spam. Now also a big change, they've improved the usability of flight because they reduce the flight's stamina consumption, because stamina in this game when you're flying, even when fully upgraded, was draining very quickly. Now also they fixed an issue where character briefly stops for a moment before moving with flight, very important because a lot of people were sort of going to their death around this time. They've also improved flight so that equipment can be used while flying, and also they improved an issue where flight would not activate in certain conditions. Speaking of the mechanics of the aerial stab, because there was unintended issue that allowed the skill to be used repeatedly in midair, aerial stab was adjusted so that it can still be used as a fun movement mechanic without disrupting overall game balance. This is good because a lot of people were using aerial stab to sort of travel, like you just go up in the air, you spam aerial stab and that's it. So they have improved the animation for aerial stab. They have changed the aerial stab so that the stamina required for the skill increases with each consecutive use, so the more you use it, the more it's going to drain. And also they fixed an issue where aerial stab would not activate when Cliff had a different main weapon other than the one-handed sword equipped. I mean, I'm glad that this was honestly not fully nerfed. I think the developers understand that a lot of people used it, but at least they made some things to it so that you don't actually fully spam it until like the end. Also, the stamina requirements for aerial maneuver and aerial swing have been reduced. They have improved the interaction range to make interacting with NPCs more convenient. This was a highly requested improvement and fix. And also they have improved the player character's turning responsiveness during short distance movements. This is also very important because it just makes movement during that combat where you're just fighting multiple enemies, especially huge hordes of enemies, incredibly better, as I've actually tested in my own gameplay. Now, as far as the keyboard and mouse is concerned, they have fixed an issue where the blinding flash and spinning slash skills would be interrupted when continuously being inputted under certain conditions, and also they improved so that items can be sold by double clicking them in shops. Fantastic. Also, they added weak point indicator effects for each element. They have adjusted certain bosses and enemies so that they do not attack immediately after the player character downs and revives. Also, they have fixed an issue where the meteor kick could be cast in mid-air even if there was no reachable ground, so just keep that in mind. They have also added the aim key guide for tool type items. They have changed weapons so now they can be drawn using the unsheath weapon key, and improved the UI so that this guide is displayed during combat. This is great. I love this feature. This is something I actually sent a report on. I mean, not just me, but a lot of people. So I'm honestly glad this was done in this update and not in the future ones, because this can be sort of annoying just from the quality of life sort of like way. They've also fixed an issue where the stun gouge would sometimes reset instantly when a boss using it a mount fell off it. Also keep in mind that they changed small and medium stoneback crabs to fall backwards when hit by the force palm ability. Also, speaking of keyboard and mouse, they have improved inventory usability as follows. They changed selecting and using items from mouse hover to mouse click, the left click to select items in the inventory, and the right click, or well, double click to use those items. Now also they said here that they reduce stamina consumption while sprinting and using crow wings, so this sort of aligns with the flight and everything else. Now they also fixed an issue where the knockback range of focus repulsion was abnormally large. They made an adjustment so that the wheels of Desert Marauder Rustin can no longer be destroyed from beyond a certain distance. They also fixed an issue where roll and evade could not be performed while using focus skills. Speaking again of keyboard and mouse, they've added precise control feature to Axiom Force, and this one is great. So holding Q or the mouse back button while moving the mouse now allows objects to be moved more precisely. This can be especially fantastic when you're using it. They've also improved objects so that they're easier to interact with. This was sort of a problem, like in most cases, at least on keyboard and mouse, I was just using control and then sort of pinpointing that item so it's easier to collect it, but now it's actually a bit easier to do it even without it, as I have tested. They've improved the UI to display a guide message when attempting to draw a weapon in locations or states where weapon cannot be drawn. I mean, this is nice quality of life just so people can, know it. Speaking of quests, they've improved the transition into the liberation sequence so it feels less abrupt while liberating a location. This is really nice because in most cases when you're liberating something, it reaches 0, it automatically goes into that cutscene. After testing, there is a shorter or well longer delay now which happens so that you can continue fighting before it moves into that state. This is really nice. They've also fixed an issue in the prologue quest New Journey where progression could be blocked if the player throws an object as Sebastian to attack him. For some reason people were doing that. They also fixed an issue in chapter 2 quest Missing Companion where the delivery targets sometimes disappeared during the quest. This is really nice because honestly Missing Companion was sort of bugged in a lot of cases, but one of the things which was helping me at least before that is that I did not read the actual the poster when you arrive into that town, so I was having issues with it, but now this should be fixed. Also, they fixed an issue in chapter 3 quest Dance with the Devil, where destroying the totems would occasionally not reduce the totem count. And also they added additional guide prompts where guidance was previously lacking. When it comes to UI fixes and improvements, they've added a feature that allows the minimap to be fixed with the north at the top. This is really good. They've added information in the skills menu showing stats increases for the next skill level. They've also added icons on the minimap to indicate the locations of keys and anvils. Also, they've improved the notifications menu to allow checking quests and challenges progress. So accepted, completed, updated, reward information and time details. And the maximum number of stored notifications has also been increased to 2000. This is really nice because sometimes you just forget. And also they added an icon to the journal menu to indicate new quests because again, if you're doing a lot of quests or a lot of quests appear on the map, you might get a little confused if you get sidetracked. So now you're going to have a much more visibility when that happens. They've also improved the minimap so that faction facilities are displayed when that particular faction liberation gouge is shown. Also, they've improved the overall main screen notifications, including how long they are displayed and when they disappear, because some of them tend to linger a lot and actually some of them tend to repeat a lot, especially once you're doing let's say bounties or you deliver a bounty or certain things like that. They were sort of annoying. When it comes to cooking and crafting menu, when it comes to recipes themselves of the same type, so I'm talking about filling, satisfying and hearty, they're now displayed as a single group. Also, they improved the duo game so that the key guide for peeking is displayed during gameplay, and they removed the whiteout effect during the retry loading sequence after being downed. Also, they've improved the knowledge menu UI so that both main categories and subcategories can be viewed at once. This is very nice quality of life change, at least from the UI perspective. And also they changed the key guide UI image for PlayStation controllers L3 and R3 buttons and Xbox controllers LS and RS buttons. They've also changed inventory UI so that when using the pouch type items, use all option is selected by default, so you don't have to scroll down or just use one item as it was happening before. And they've improved the text color of UI descriptions to appear brighter. This is a very good change. When it comes to graphics and settings, they've improved the rendering stability and visual quality in low resolution environments or when upscaling is enabled, because if, the rendering itself was sometimes causing issues where certain things were either flickering too much or not appearing even when you're close to a certain object or an item. They have improved the rendering of translucent materials such as hair, fur and clothing when FSR ray regeneration or DLSS ray reconstruction is enabled. Speaking of PlayStation 5, they have added a fixed 4K output option to provide a sharper gameplay experience. So what does this mean? When this option is enabled, the game will output a 4K resolution regardless of whether the display natively supports 4K, allowing for sharper image. On the base PlayStation 5 in performance mode, enabling this option will allow you to upscale with FSR, and this option is enabled by default and can be disabled. And when disabled, the game will output according to the maximum resolution supported by the monitor. They've also fixed an issue screen noise which would increase during long gameplay sessions, and also they fixed an issue where displacement mapping was not applied correctly when DLSS ray reconstruction was enabled. In addition, the ray reconstruction preset has been changed from D to E, improving overall visual quality and fixing an issue where texture animations such as waterfall could stop playing. Also, when it comes to performance, stability, and general gameplay, loading times have been reduced when traveling via abyss traces when respawning after being down. They fixed several stability, performance optimization, and crash issues across PC, console, and Mac. Honestly, I didn't have a single crash yet, but my friend who was streaming the game for me actually had a crash, so these things should be a lot more stable now. And the general optimization across the map itself, that means like if there is a lot of objects or a lot of things are happening on the screen, including maybe major fights, are now a little bit better in that sense. I mean, in general, at least for my 3070 Ti, I was not having a lot of dips when it comes to that in whatever location I was, but now I felt like the general, just the frame rate sequence was a lot more smoother than before, at least for me personally. And also they fixed an issue where frame drops occurred during the battle against the Crow Caller. When it comes to localization, they have fixed the UI issue where the current quest objective could incorrectly display certain items descriptions instead, and as usual they have fixed various localization errors and improvement localization quality, so game advice, etc. across all languages. In the others, they have added the sound effect when certain animals eat meat, so you might notice that as you play. And for the end, when it comes to other fixes, they have fixed an issue where certain interactions would not function when enhancing some tools. They fixed an issue in the Twisted Ticketway Abyss where the Skybridge gate could be opened without restoring the adjacent abyss. Also, they've improved cows not properly following during herding. They fixed an issue where greeting others while having a low bounty could trigger a crime. Also, they fixed an issue where using Nature Snare affected nearby NPCs, and also they fixed an issue where housing mode would close when pressing the drag button outdoors. They've also fixed an issue where falling onto shallow water could occasionally cause the character to dive to an abnormal location, so this should be fixed now. And they've also fixed an issue where the effect of the energy drain abyss gear would not activate. They've also fixed an issue where the unintended functionality was applied to the Constellation helm, and also they fixed an issue where movement speed would briefly decrease before initiating gliding. Also, they fixed an issue where items would be put away when changing equipment via the quick slot while equipment was already drawn. This is great, this was actually driving me nuts. They've also fixed an issue where bow aiming was not possible in certain conditions. They fixed an issue where using blinding flash finisher at the edge of the cliff could launch the character far away, so this was sort of funny. And for the others, they have fixed an issue where some UI elements would overlap when displayed at the same time under certain circumstances. An issue where, attacking NPCs with trees was not considered a crime, so you cannot do that anymore. And they fixed various other in-game issues, but they were not listed here. So there is honestly a lot here, and especially when it comes to just having these mounts, which you can now actually own, because previously, like, one of the bigger issues was that you could have the horses stay permanent, but every other mount was just, as soon as you go off of it, it did not appear anymore. So just having this option, so it's now properly in your inventory so that you can see if you have those things, especially those legendary mounts, stay with you, is honestly really, really nice. So yeah, as I said, developers have been busy. I sort of expect these updates and patches to come every 5 to 10 days. Again, of course, a lot of these things depends on how difficult it is to fix them and implement them, because if the issue is going to be a lot bigger, they might take a bit more time to get onto it. But at least when it comes to these, smaller things that people are requesting, they're very, very fast to fix them. I think a lot of it has to do with, them having Black Desert, which is an online game, which when you're having an online game, you have to have patches relatively quickly out because they can be make it or break it for a lot of people. So because they were sort of trained in that way, I would say, or at least have that way of doing these patches, I think everything that people do report in the future is going to be implemented relatively fast. As far as my thoughts on the update, I think it is fantastic. A lot of things which I was having issues with, especially with robbing stuff and losing my contribution points when it did not make sense, or just having to open doors automatically losing a key, is finally fixed. So these are big things, and again, when it comes to mounts, it is fantastic. But you can tell me down below, what do you think about all of this, and if there is any other issues you maybe have encountered, you can tell me down below, but also in the link which I'm going to show, drop you down below. If you go to it, you can report an issue itself, and also you can see the known issues which are currently being fixed. So thank you for watching, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing for more. I have a lot of videos when it comes to Crimson Desert planned for this week, so it's going to be great. And also check us out on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.